everyone. This is the Janice Thompson Show. This is my third show here at our new studio at 34 J Street, across from the post office. And we are SAC, the Schenectady Access Cable Council. So please get us your productions over here so we can air them and get them over at OSM to air them on their Time Warner station. You may have heard about us, but we've been around for a long time, and we're here to help you in any way possible get information out to the community. I've been doing this since 1999, and our show today, if you've heard the opening music, gives you a little taste of what we're going to be talking about today. The polka music is going to be featured at an event that's being put on by the East Front Street Association. And we have 4 people here today that are going to add to our show. First, we're going to talk about the event itself. And I have next to me Chris Morris, spokesperson for this event. And next to her, we have Marty Beister. So I'm going to start with Chris, because Chris asked me if I could get this information on air so that we can get some publicity out for the Polka Palooza barbecue on September the 8th.
Correct.
Next Saturday.
Already?
It'll be next Saturday, September the 8th.
Make sure you call me and keep me informed. I lose track of days, believe me. We're so excited to be here, and we want to talk about the Polka Palooza and our East Front Street Neighborhood Association that's putting on the event, but it also is a little community that is extremely active, trying to keep up with the Joneses and stay on top of things. We work very hard. Very small group, but hard workers. But the Polka Palooza is an event that's a dream child of Marty Beister here, and you'll hear all about that. And we are holding the event the day of everything in Schenectady, the Schenectady Art Show being one of, or the Stockade Art Show being one of the events. And we're going to be down the street from there. We'll be on right on Front Street, the corner of John and Front. Mm-hmm. And we have our band, which is Donnie P. in celebration. And Marty is a member of that.
And that's the polka music that you just heard.
Yeah. We're so excited about that. And of course, to go with the polka music is a barbecue. And it's called Texas Longhorn Barbecue. Figure that out. But anyway, it's going to be good food. And we're running the event from 1 to 7 on Saturday, the big day in Schenectady, Saturday the 8th. We will be having the barbecue from 1 to 4, and the music will be live from 3 to 7. So we're hoping all folks who come wandering up Front Street will take advantage of our festivities. We'll also be having a Chinese auction, and we're going to have a 50-50 raffle, and we have a porta potty in case that's needed. You never know.
Good thinking there, Chris.
Well, that's thanks to we have some organizers who are very good at thinking of all the details, and you will meet one of them later. So our event is something for the first time. We've never done this before. It's a huge venture for us, and as I said, we're very, very small. And the goal is to have fun and to bring people together. If we can raise a little money, that would be great, because we do work hard in our community to try to get things right to happen. And right now we're thinking we'd like to get some cameras in there, to help us out with things like graffiti and some wrongdoings and things like that will be good for our community. Some signage in our community is also what we're looking forward to. But it all costs money. But this event is mostly because it's all started with the thinking of Marty and his dream from a boy, and Marianne Rosito, who was an organizer in our community,
and we'll be talking to her a little bit later.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot about the East Front Street neighborhood association.
Now, how many people are in the neighborhood, and then how many are in the association?
Well, now there's a good question.
Approximately.
Our neighborhood is very tiny. We are, Mary Ann says 5.5 streets, I say 6 streets. We are part of Front Street, we are John Street, Monroe, River Street, Jefferson, and Madison.
Madison.
You know, can't forget those presidents. And that's it. That's us. We do go down to the Alco, the former Alco, and that's going to be a whole new venture for the whole community.
It's really going to add to that.
It'll be amazing
isn't
because you'll
it?
have, you know, if you go all the way on the other end of Front Street, you have the history back into the 1600s and before, way down in the stockade, and then you come up to something brand new, a new community at the other end. It's
Yes.
really going to be the antithesis of history.
Yes.
You know, but we are very historical ourselves, you know, and you're going to hear a lot of our history a little later on in the program.
Definitely. Wow, that's exciting. And this is the first event, so we have to make it a great event, don't we? And I noticed it was in the community notes in the Gazette.
Yes, of course.
So
we want
somebody
to
was
advertise.
responsible for getting that in there.
And we are talking it up, you know, as we would, because we want people to stop by.
Yeah.
And it's, block parties are always fun, but we've never done this. And thanks to Marty and Donnie P., we're going to be just right out there.
Well, here's a picture of a flyer that may be on the air already, but I'm showing it in case you haven't seen it yet.
And we have them
But it's a
all
very
over.
colorful flyer, and it says bring a chair and your dancing shoes. And there's a cost on there, which isn't much.
Well, for the whole party, it's only $12, and that would include your great barbecue, Texas Longhorn barbecue, and our polka music, 4 hours of polka music.
Right, yeah.
The phone numbers are 347-1004 or 372-0036,
Right.
which is where you can get advance tickets. And it's important for us to know in advance, as much as possible, how many are coming, because that caterer wants to know
Exactly.
what to cook for. Who to
Now,
cook for.
is the association a nonprofit?
Yeah, oh yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure.
And there are many contributions happening here, not only from the people in the organization, like all of ourselves, we're all doing something to provide
Yeah.
for this, but we have some local vendors who are also providing for us. For instance, the Boulevard Bowl has offered, and it's going to be in our Chinese auction. The Boulevard Bowl is going to has given us 10 free tickets. So that would be something that at the auction, which I can tell you about even more.
Yeah.
And we also have Moretz Steakhouse is going to provide us with a gift certificate, so somebody can win that. And I'm talking to some others as well to see what we can have. And we're all putting together some things so that there will be some nice items available for our little Chinese silent auction.
Great.
You know, buy an armload of tickets for $5 and you might win a lovely prize.
Sure, sure. Well, Marty, you played a big part in this because this was your innovation, right?
Well, it was my idea years ago when I used to practice my
Yeah.
clarinet on 18 River Street towards the end of it. I'd open the window in the summertime and the cool breeze would come in and I'd practice my music. And my grandmother and my grandfather, they appreciated the polka music, so my instructor got me some polka music and I used to play that. And I can remember to this day by the window when I decided that that's what I wanted to do was play polka music. And because the window was open and I could see people out in the street, I said to myself, you know, it'd be great someday to have a block party with some polka music.
Unbelievable.
And this is my chance to do it, so we're doing it.
It took a lot of years, Marty.
It did.
So who did you talk to get it off the ground initially?
Well, the idea, the name Polkapalooza, one of the band members, the drummer, Greg kept pushing me, or not pushing me, but bringing up this idea of, oh, we ought to have a big Polka-Palooza, which, that's his name, which fit very well with my idea.
So
that
it was his
eventually I'd
idea
want
for the Palooza part.
the name, yes.
Yeah,
And
which
my idea-
means
Have
anything
a
you
lot of
want
fun.
it to be, right?
Anything you want it to be, exactly. So basically, I talked to Mary Ann, who's one in the neighborhood association. I've known her for many years.
And we're going to talk to
And-
Mary Ann in a little while.
And she said, well, why don't we go for it? I said, really? She says, yeah, let's do it. So that's the way it came about, and here we are.
See, the
And I hope
organization-
everybody can come and enjoy.
Yeah, oh, we
yeah,
will.
well, I'm going to be there,
Well, that's true, but what I
but you need
wanted
more
to,
than me.
what I wanted to mention was that when our group we were always meeting, we meet once a month. Marty is there as well, even though he doesn't live on River Street any longer. He
Right.
still owns the property. But when he got wind of the idea that we were trying to come up with a plan to how can we raise some funds, or what can we do as
Yes.
a little organization, what can we do? And so there was the thinking caps were on, and that's how that all worked out together during session. And,
Yeah.
and Marty, and particularly the Recitos, Mary Ann and Carmela, and their good organizational thinking, and then the rest of us getting involved. And you asked how many.
Yeah, I thought maybe I didn't hear you because, and then I didn't want to ask you again.
How
you know.
many? Yeah, well, at a meeting, you might have 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we always have a neighborhood, a community police officer there, and we have guest speakers, and we'll have campaigning political people there.
Sure.
We always have things of interest. But by and large, this small core of people who are mainly owners, I was speaking with Mary Ann earlier today, mainly owners of properties in that little section. And I think I'm the only one who really is on a regular basis, and I do not own.
Right, but
I'm a property manager for the complex there, for a complex.
Yes.
However, I'm very interested in the community. I always like to have a perfect world, so I strive for that. And working with the organization gives you a little support. You're out there cleaning the streets or something, you can feel, well, I'm not the only one.
Now,
Although
does,
sometimes it feels like that. Doesn't it,
does the
Marty?
association have a board?
Not officially. We have
Uh-huh.
president, Carmela Ricito,
Uh-huh.
and is she still president, or is Mary Ann now president? Carmela,
Carmel's president.
vice president. Mary Ann is vice president. The
Mhm.
Ricito ladies,
Yes.
always in the community, and we have people in our community who are still from childhood. They've their whole
Lived there
lives.
their whole
Very
life.
few of those left. We become a rental community. Schenectady, so much of Schenectady has become that as well. So it's a challenge to impart our old world thinking and our old school thinking to folks who are passing through.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
I want to add that, I really, I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity. I can remember when I was in the service, this idea kept coming up in my mind. I kept thinking about home, and I kept thinking about our neighborhood. I said, and at that time in the 70s, at about the end of my term in the service, there was a lot in the newspapers about people going back to their hometown and doing something for them, and that fit in with my idea of the Polka-Palooza. And I'm fortunate that I have a community to go back to. And the Ricitos,
It's lovely to have you, kiddo.
and so the Ricitos have been there as long as I have. I remember them when I was a child, and we do have a lot of people there and new
Yeah.
people too that are interested in keeping the community going, and I'm
Now-
very happy that that's happening.
You went to elementary school.
St. Mary's in
Yes.
Schenectady,
Yeah.
and Mount Pleasant High School, and then I went to college, RPI, and then I was in the service, the U.S. Navy.
So how did you end out in Fishkill?
I went to work for when I got out of the service, I went to work for the Consolidated Edison Company in New York City. And part of my first assignment was to the Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant, which is just south of Fishkill. It's on the Hudson River, just a little south of West Point, which is on the west shore of the Hudson. And since I wanted to be close to where I was working, I moved to Fishkill and found a home there, I think in the 80s, early 80s. And I've been living there all my life, and I've since retired from Con Edison.
But you're still a member of the East
drives
Front
in.
Association. You
Oh,
come
yeah.
back and forth.
Oh,
all the
that's all
time.
part of
That
the
is
thing.
so
keep
See?
wonderful.
That connection was so strong, isn't it amazing?
That is so wonderful. It's a childhood connection that just.
But if
stays
there
with
wasn't
you.
something there, it probably wouldn't have happened. But the fact that the people are interested in the community, and I have people that I know there all my life, is an important thing.
So is it true, like there's no place like home?
Yes, I still call my house home. That's my home. Anybody ask me, where's your home? It's at River Street in Schenectady.
And you do know that he went through a very difficult time because River Street was flooded
Yes,
last year. So you're involved with Storm Aid
right.
to such a degree, and he suffered. Well, many did, but
Definitely.
Marty's lower end of that street where his house was devastated.
Is it all back
Yeah.
to normal now?
Yes,
Pretty
it's all
much.
back to normal, and what's interesting about it is that my whole life, I'm 70 years old, that I've either lived there or owned the home, and visited quite frequently. My parents were still alive, my grandparents were still alive. It never flooded. And in 2011, it finally got into the first floor apartment. It flooded in the basements occasionally, but in 2011, it managed to get into the first floor, which was rather devastating. All the mud and stuff, it was a chore to bring it back. But
Of
I've got
course.
it back, and I want to keep it going.
And a little side note to that is one of our other members was his tenant in that apartment, and she was uprooted for many months, and then she's back in.
there.
Yes, but that was terribly disruptive. So in
Sure,
our
it's-
association she had to go with family, and he was struggling to get his place back in order and worked very, very hard to do so. So
We got
it
it
was sad
back
to
in
see.
just before Christmas. She
Yeah.
moved back in my time.
Wonderful. Well, I founded Storm Aid in October of 2011 to help victims and survivors get back in their homes. And we've been hearing horror stories between insurance problems and FEMA and just people not having any of their own funds to help. So Storm Aid and a lot of other volunteer organizations have played a big part in the recovery, which is being celebrated right now in our area because it's a year.
I had no problems. I did not have insurance, though. I had to fund this from my own account.
You did.
And but I'm happy to have done it.
Yeah.
That attraction to a place to call home is important to me.
It
Enough
is.
to make the investment. I think I can make it pay by the people that are renting. And
Sure.
quite frankly, the area is really, to me, beautiful. It's next to the stockade. It's next to the river. And now I see that the city is developing back into that area. I think there'll be more people that eventually want to live in the East Fishkill area or in that, someplace nearby.
Yeah.
And we have close ties with the city, the downtown, also the Italian section, and we have, of course, Italians and the Polish people were living in the neighborhood when I was there, and we still,
And you
they're
still
still
are.
there. They're still there.
Now, may I ask you, are you Polish?
Yes.
So because I couldn't tell by your last name,
Yes,
and it was
it
probably
was changed.
shortened.
It was changed during the Second World War. My father told me the story that he was working on a project at the General Electric Company where his brother was working, and when the FBI did some investigating, because it was a war project, they found out that there were a lot of different spellings of the name. So the family got together and made the spelling Byster.
So what was it originally?
My grandfather, on his, I forgot the registration for the First World War, spelled it Bystryk, Bystryk.
Oh, is it? And
And
are
he
there
was-
any of those in this area with that spelling that you know of?
Not that I know of. I've looked on years ago on the internet. I think there are other Bistrix. He was
Bistrix.
from my family. On my father's side was from the Austrian part of Poland at the time when they emigrated to the United States.
Yes. Well, we're so glad to have you here today, and that you've continued nourishing your roots,
Mhm.
because that's so important to so many people, you know, to have a place called home.
Right?
Yeah. I want to ask Chris, did we show what you wanted to show
No.
here for your event?
As we had said, our event is food, music, and the little side things will be the Chinese auction and the 50/50 raffle. But we have gathered, I just brought a couple of things to show you that will be on the table for the Chinese auction in case you'd want to purchase a ticket and pop it in for the drawing. This beautiful, beautiful Afghan is one of the items that if you were the lucky winner, you could capture this for $1. You know, this is really beautiful.
It's
for $1.
gorgeous.
You know, the tickets are going to be $1, and an armful will be $5. So that's how we're doing that. And then you just drop it in the little cup by the item. So this is one beautiful item we wanted to show you. And then I have these lovely brass candlesticks as well, that candlestick holders that easy to carry, so I brought those over to show you. And as I said, we have the free tickets from the bowling, from the Boulevard Bowl, and the gift certificate. Once again, I mentioned the gift certificate for Moret's Steakhouse, the wonderful food over there, and so they've been generous with us. And we'll have many other things, so we want people to venture forth and take advantage of that.
Now, your meetings, you used to have them at Moret's?
We started during my time, we started at Boulevard Bowl. Then we moved over to Moret's for a short while. And now we're down at the end of Front Street, close in the corner of Knott and Front, in the building owned by the Legiers.
Yeah.
And that is the Ellis, the sign out front says Ellis Campus, Ellis Hospital Bellinger Campus. And that's where we have a little meeting room. And we've just started doing that. We've had 2 meetings there.
How's that working?
Yeah, that should be working out fine. And by the way, for our event, the Legiers have offered that huge parking lot if people would like to park at the end there and then just walk up Front
Well,
Street.
I'm glad you
which would be
mentioned
nice
that.
and out of the way.
Definitely. How did you happen to choose September 8th? Was there any particular reason, knowing that all these other events are going on in the area, so people can really make the rounds that day?
That would be the reason, you know,
That you
because
chose
people
it.
are already out.
Already out?
Being that it's a polka fest, we don't feel it's a competition for somebody who wants pizza, or did you
Right.
enjoy the Italian fest, or the Greek festival with its baklava.
Right.
You come to us and have
Have-
Texas Longhorn
Right,
barbecue.
not Polish food.
No, we're not. We're just not. That isn't the way it worked out when we looked
Right.
into the caterers, and Mary Ann did a good job of that. She came up with somebody who was very good and available. You have to get somebody who's available and
Of course.
willing to work with you, and it's just for the party. It's a block party,
Yes.
and we happen to have one of the greatest bands,
Oh, that's
and
so
their
wonderful.
concentration is on polka music.
And maybe this will be the first of many events.
Hope so.
Do you envision doing this maybe next year, Marty?
If we have enough people that are interested, certainly.
Sure.
It'd be nice to do that again. It's up to the East Front Street Association. They did really
Right.
most of the work. The 8th, the band had to be available. That was the date that it was available on
Well,
too.
that-
So
that worked
that
out.
fit in, yeah.
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 But we have to have good weather.
Yes, and we've been
That's
pretty
the thing.
lucky
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year.
So we're hoping
We
for that.
really have. I hope,
There'll be a tent.
everything goes
I
good.
understand.
Well,
Just in
yes,
case, you have to
yeah.
have a backup plan.
Yeah. Well, that'll be there, you know.
Good.
Thanks for you looking into that and taking care of that for us.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yes.
understand, a lot of what's going on that day is through people and their generosity. And
Isn't that-
donating of goods and
Yes.
time. And there's gonna be quite a bit. We'll be setting up the Friday before, and then it's all going to happen. we're looking so forward to it. We wanted to get this taken care of.
Now, Chris, what is your besides being spokesperson for today, what is your position in this party? Are you a part of just one of many organizers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there aren't many organizers. There are
Okay.
just,
Two or
just
three?
a few. But
Yeah.
I've been in the catering business for years, and thank gosh
Right.
we don't have to do cooking.
Well, that's where we
Thank
met.
goodness,
We met
yeah.
at the Ramada Inn, didn't we?
Oh, that's right.
Long time
Talking
ago.
about organizing and putting on
Right.
events. But I'm getting a lot of the furniture and stuff I'm getting from my son's business, and he has tables and chairs, and you know we're envisioned. The vision is there, and then how we can facilitate the vision is what
Right.
we're coming up with the plan,
Right.
and just going out there and promoting it. And so I'm into the public eye.
Yes,
a lot.
you are a promoter. And I'm so glad that you filled our first segment with such good information here. And I think we'll take a short break, and then we'll introduce the rest of the group here.
Thank you.
How's that sound?
Excellent.
One more time! Let's get it out! Hey! Holiday moment!
Well, we're starting back again. We have another addition to our group here promoting the Polka Palooza event on September the 8th down in the East Front Street area. We have Donnie P here. And Donnie P is the band that's going to be playing at the event. So hi, Donnie.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm glad you could be here today. And you're sitting next to your childhood friend here, Marty.
That's right. Marty and I go back too many years. Although we stopped counting after we both hit age 40. But Marty and I actually went to grade school together. Went up to St. Mary's Parochial School. Actually, a lot of the Polish families from in this area here sent their children up to St. Mary's.
And when did that close? Do you have any idea approximately?
Probably 30 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
1980 or something.
Uh-huh.
But Marty and I actually started playing a little music together when we were probably in 6th and 7th grade. Then after St. Mary's, we both went our separate ways. And I happened to meet Marty. He was one of the lectors in St. Mary's Church one day, probably maybe 12, 14 years later. And I said to Marty after church, I went up and shook his hand. I said, how you been? Good. I said, how'd you like to start a polka band? He says, that sounds good.
Now, what year is this?
Oh,
70s.
Yeah.
I got out of the service in 72, and I was in the church when Don and his family came in, and he stepped behind. After we finished the mass was over, Don came in to the sacristy, the back of the altar, and posed that question. I says, oh, that sounds great. Right? Exactly what I would want to do anyway.
And we've been playing music ever since.
Now,
And
you play a couple of instruments,
I play the accordion and play the keyboard.
okay?
And of course, Marty plays the clarinet and the saxophone. And
And then you have two other members.
we have two other members in the band. Greg Russo is our drummer, who actually lives here also in the area, in
Okay.
the East Front Street area, right on River Street. And we have a trumpet player by the name of Steve Semerad, who lives up in Rotterdam. Steve's been with us also for several years.
Now, there's going to be a picture on the screen that will show your group,
Yeah.
so everybody can see. I'm not sure when that was taken.
About 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In fact, that picture was used as an album cover for our latest CD. We've recorded 3 albums now over the years,
Wow.
and have just had an awful lot of fun promoting music, but promoting goodness and enjoying one another, enjoying people. We've got a close-knit family with really all our polka fans for many, many years. We have people that have been following our group from day one for 40 years now.
Now, do you play at the polka events around here, like
Oh, yeah.
at St. Adalbert's and?
St. Adalbert's, the Polish Community Center in Albany, St. Mary's we've played, many, many weddings, the Italian American Club, the old Armory down on Erie Boulevard, played there several years ago when they used to have a lot of dances. The KSC Hall over here, a few blocks over.
And you play other music too. You don't just play polka music.
Oh yeah,
Right?
no, we play a variety of music. Now Polka Palooza again, the forte of it will be polkas, but we'll mix up the music that day too. We'll play
Right.
some rock and roll for them. We'll do some nice ballads. We'll do some Spanish Eyes type of music, and
Nice.
everybody will have a good time. And we're actually now promoting a concept that we call polkaling.
Ah,
And basically, how we came up with this idea of polkaling is that a lot of the people that still come to the dances now are getting elderly. Some don't dance an awful lot anymore, but they still like to get out, meet friends, have a good time. So whether you tap your feet, whether you sing, whether you just kibitz with your neighbors and meet friends, it's all called polkaling, as long as there's polka music being played.
now did you coin that phrase?
Well, yes and no. We've got a couple dancers that actually follow our band. They come down from the Syracuse area. They'll come down all the
Really?
way down here just to go to a 4-hour polka dance. They love their dancing, and I was talking to one of the girls about a year ago, and she said to me, "When's the next polkaling?" I says, "Excuse me, what is polkaling, Julie?" Her name is Julie. She says, "Oh my God," she says, "I feel so bad, and I'm a school teacher." I says, "Julie, that was wonderful. You just gave me an idea." So about the last year or so, I've been thinking about polkaling as not only a song, but a whole concept. And I wrote a song, "Let's Go Polkaling." So we started playing that at the last couple engagements. And also, we bought some jackets that say, "Let's Go Polkaling." About 20 people already have bought the jackets, and we've got hats. And I mean, it's just starting to grow. We're just trying to keep polka music and the heritage alive, keep people having a good time, relating with one another, because that's what life is all about.
Exactly.
And we just have such a nice group of people that we've gotten to be not only polka fans with, but just friends, good people. We're like one great big family. And Marty's been a very big part of it for many, many years. Marty and I have so much fun together that it's, I'll always say to him, the first thing we get to a job, we'll say, "Marty, do you feel like playing polka music today?" "I always feel like playing polka music." He just loves his polka music.
It's
And,
always polka time.
yeah, it's always polka time with Marty.
Wow. Well, Lawrence Welk, you must have listened to
Yeah.
him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
champagne music.
He had a
and-
following, that's for sure. Yeah.
I actually grew up here in Schenectady, right off of Eastern Avenue. Went to Mount Terrace High School, and then we were the first class that graduated from Linton High School. And for years, going back years, started actually in a career with my insurance business. I used to right down here in the Stockade area. So
Really?
it's kind of, yeah, I know so many people right here in the area. that
So are
it's,
you an insurance man by trade?
Yes, I'm actually, I'm retired now. I'm still a little involved in it, but for many, many years with Prudential Insurance. And then Marty and I have had the polka music, the polka band going about 40 years now. So
Wow.
we're stayers.
Now, were you in the service also, like Marty
No.
was?
No, no, I was fortunate to stay home when guys like Marty went into service, and I had to kind of keep an eye on the females.
Well, that's a full-time job, isn't it? Oh,
But,
wow.
no, we're really looking forward to this event because we know so many people in the Schenectady area that it's going to be like an old family get together. Just to see people come out and have a good time and mix and meet some new friends, see some old ones, and should be great. If the weather is good, it'll be great.
Now, are the reservations coming in?
Yeah, right now we've got a little bit more than 100 people that have signed up for
Wow.
the chicken barbecue.
That's wonderful.
And we want the people to know that I mean, obviously we would like even more people to come for the chicken barbecue, but if for some
Yeah.
reason, they feel they can't make it for the chicken barbecue, the dancing, everybody is welcome to come along for the dancing, and there won't be any charge for the dancing.
Okay.
So the music will be from 3 to 7, chicken barbecue will be a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
and that's what, Marty, the chicken barbecue. 1 to 5 for the chicken barbecue, and that's $12.
Yes.
And then whether you have the barbecue or not, the dancing will be free, but the dancing will go on till 7. But I think we got a great day planned for everybody, with the barbecue. And I'll tell you, these people, this is the first time I've met some of these nice people here in the association. And I'll tell you, they are enthusiastic and they work so hard. And you'll meet some of them a little bit later on in today's program. But I'll tell you, this Mary Ann and Chris and Mary Ann's sister and some of the people that I've met, I mean, very enthusiastic. And boy, you ask them for something and they can't wait to
Yeah, they need to wear
get their feet wet,
They need
right?
to wear a shirt that says "Just Do It,"
Yeah, right.
because those are the kind of people that get the job done.
Yeah,
And I know Chris for a long time, and she sees me on my walk, because I walk in your neighborhood just about every day.
yeah.
I walk down around East Front Street. Huh, Chris? Chris is over there. And we're going to meet Mary Ann in a minute.
We're hoping for
so-
good weather and a good turnout. And I can personally guarantee people who like music and want to have a good time, you'll have the time of your life. You'll have the time of your life. Even if you've never been to a polka dance, just come and hear the music and tap your feet and meet your peoples.
Yeah, it's all about
It's-
connections.
yeah.
I think there's going to the Greek festival near
Greek
the
festival, the
the
Italian.
Italian festival, the Stockade Art Show.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more, but hopefully
it's those
people that are
it's those
curious and
three.
want to hear some polka music will come
So
over
now we'll
and
have a fourth
have a good fun.
fun time. Where do you live now?
I live right now in Waterford. Actually
Okay.
live in Half Moon. It's a Waterford address, but Waterford, Half Moon, Clifton Park, we're right on the border of all three of them. I'm probably about 25 minutes from here, from
Okay.
the Schenectady area.
Because Waterford had some problems from
Flooding.
Irene,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
But I hadn't heard too much about that area, because I think they're pretty well back
Yeah.
to normals
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, they didn't
That's
get
good.
anything like down around here, but well, you mentioned that, and I can remember taking a ride on Front Street last year and just almost shaking my head
Oh, I
going
know.
through and going down North Street and some of the side streets, and my goodness, I mean, these people have been through an awful lot. So here's a day to get out and release. have really
Yeah.
just
People need to celebrate
yeah.
the accomplishments that have not just taken place in their lifetime, but over this last year, which has been
And it's
amazing
amazing
for
how-
so many people.
Amazing to see how people stick together and work together just to rebuild and renew and refresh and
Right, and if it weren't for the volunteers,
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be as much progress made as there was, because the volunteerism around here, I think, is great. I'm a
Yeah.
volunteer. I put in 40 hours a week with my organization, and the other people around me, are volunteers as well. And so if you have a job, you've got to try to fit that in too, so that can be challenging. Well, I'm really glad. I think we've filled up this spot here with some more great information. Do you have anything you want to add? How about you, Marty?
I'll tell a little story I like to tell about us in the band. When the first time we ever played together was at St. Mary's. It was during Lent, I think, and you had to have these little cans that you made donations. When you didn't eat candy, you put it in, and then you donated it to the church. And we decided that we were going to have a dance in the school, in the auditorium that was on the second floor. And we were playing, and the kids were dancing. They had a dime. I brought my toy cash register in. I had to put 10 cents in.
I remember them.
To buy, you had to pay 10 cents to get in, and then we donated that to the church. And there we are. We had a different band then. There was all the members. I don't know, we were 7th or 8th grade. We're on the stage. We had a saxophone, a clarinet. I think we had the accordion and a piano player. And we're having a good time. Kids are dancing, and some little girl got up and started dancing on the stage. And I remember one of the nuns didn't quite appreciate that at all, so she came storming up onto the stage, and the little girl hopped off. There was a table at the foot of the stage, and the nun hopped off. The girl hopped on the table, hopped on the floor, and ran away. And the nun hopped on the table, and it collapsed. And she went boom, and that was the end of our show. She said, "That's it."
Oh, what a great ending, huh?
Final curtain.
I just wanted to ask you guys, were you in the band in school, in
Yeah.
high school?
Yeah, that's where we actually started, both of us getting
Yeah.
used to music.
Yeah.
But it was several years later before we actually started our celebration band.
Yep, and how about junior high? Were you, or in the lower grades, did they have bands then?
No, Marty
No.
actually went to Mount Pleasant, I went to Naterras, and we kind of not really lost track of each other, but then he went into the service, and
Yeah.
but like I say, probably a dozen or 15 years later, we met up again.
Well, it
at-
was
at
fate that
church,
got you
and-
guys
yeah,
back together
yeah.
again.
I
And it's a
played,
wonderful
I
story.
played in high school. I played in college in the band, in the marching bands, and also I played when I got out of the service in the marching band in Westchester. It was we marched at firemen's parades. And the most interesting thing is I think I practiced my clarinet in Hong Kong, in New Zealand, in Australia, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I always had my clarinet with me.
This
and
was
I
during the service, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had one concert when I was first in the service. We played in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and that was. I
Wow.
remember, if I have time, my music teacher told me, he says, "Look at Marty," says, "practice." He says, "Because if you go into the service, you won't have to clean the latrine." He was in the Army. And I said, "Oh, wow." So here I am on the USS Essex as a midshipman, and I'm cleaning the toilet. They're stainless steel urinals, and I'm polishing them up. And all of a sudden, at that time, they had all what they call scrambled eggs. This commander swings around the door and says, "Mr. Beister?" And I said, "Yes." Snapped to attention. I says, "Yes, sir." He says, "I understand you play the clarinet." And I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Come on with me, you're in the band." I said, "I got to finish." He says, "No, you don't." So I went and I joined the band, and I never had to clean another urinal.
That's a great story. He told you the truth, didn't he?
Yep, it worked out just like my music teacher told me.
Well, isn't that great? That's a fun story. Well, I think we'll take another short break here. And thank you, Donnie, for joining
Well,
this
thank you for having us.
segment. And we'll talk a little bit later
Okay.
and have some refreshments over there, too. Hi, we're back again. Now we have Mary Ann that we've been talking about since the beginning of the show. And welcome, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a big part of this event coming up, aren't you?
Yes, it's exciting. It's something that I know Marty wanted, and it's fun for our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's exciting because there's going to be a lot of people coming back that lived in the neighborhood years back and that grew up, and they're coming back to listen to the polka music and to meet up with people they haven't seen for a long time. So it's heartwarming to see that happen.
Yeah, now how are you advertising this? Because it was said earlier that there's 100 people that are already signed up for it. And how did they hear about it? Because I noticed a sign on my walk that was put out there, probably
Right.
by Chris.
Right.
What else has been working for you?
My Facebook friends.
Oh, okay.
I put it on Facebook and sent it out to all my friends, and that
Oh,
has really helped. My emails, all my contacts through my emails, and the community notes, and word of mouth. Wherever we meet people, we start talking about it. And when they hear that it's Marty's polka band, they get very excited, and the people want to hear it. And you know, so it's just an exciting.
Yeah.
Excitement in the neighborhood just knowing that this is happening, you know.
Wonderful.
And one of the things that Chris, I think we'll talk about it again, that we mentioned was that we're having a memory wall. And we're asking the people that have lived in the neighborhood or grew up in the neighborhood to bring their old pictures, mount them on foam cord, and we're going to have a memory wall where we'll hang them up so that people can see the neighborhood past. And,
How lovely.
Yes, and we got some old pictures of Tony Barone. He was a featherweight or a lightweight, I don't know, boxing, but we have a picture of him. His family's bringing that, and my family, and a lot of the old neighborhood families are coming in. It's going to be fun to see. Yes.
Now, do you have a website?
No, we don't.
I tried to look it up.
No, we don't. We're very tiny. We really
Yeah.
are very tiny. We're small, but we're deadly. That's what I tell
Oh,
everybody.
that's a good saying. I like that. That's really good. Now, what was I going to say? How long have you lived in the neighborhood? Were you born there?
Yes, we were all. The house that we live in was my grandfather's. It's been in our family for 110 years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
there's been only two other owners of the house. Quinn and a Brown, and they bought it from the Eliza Brott estate. It was a pasture back in 1880. Yeah, it's you don't get that too much in Schenectady anymore, you know. And we still have lilac bushes and rose bushes that my grandfather planted in the yard.
Now, don't we have a picture of your grandfather
Yes,
here?
this is my grandfather. This is Gaetano.
Gaetano.
Yes.
Oh my,
He
what a
raised his-
great picture.
Yes, he raised his family in that house.
That is so awesome. And that's the original frame, I'm
Yes.
sure.
My father lived on the first floor, and his sister lived on the second floor, and they were raised there. And I was all interested in family history. I'm a genealogist, so I was constantly asking her questions about the family. So she brought me up in the attic one day. She says, "I got to show you something." And these pictures were up there, and I swear they had 100 years of dirt on them, you know. And she gave them to me. She said, "I'll give them to you if you promise to display them." And they're in my dining
What
room.
a treasure.
Yeah. I can't.
So you
tell
took them off your wall to bring here
Yeah,
today?
I did. Yes, I did.
Oh
yeah.
my.
Yeah. And,
Well,
A lot of
that
history.
definitely is a treasure.
yeah, and I was, one of the things I was just looking at today in my family tree is the obituaries of my grandmother and grandfather, and it hit me that they were buried out of that house. The viewing was in that house, you know, and it's just
Wow.
it's
That's
just-
what they did in those
absolutely,
days, yes.
Absolutely, yes.
They didn't go to a funeral parlor.
No. It's nice to have that. It really is. And
Wow.
My father and all the brothers and the sister, we're all born there. And I had an uncle. My father's name is Nicholas, and I had an uncle Nicholas that was before my father. He drowned in the Erie Canal in 1905. 1905? I'm not sure the date. And my grandmother was pregnant with my father. So he drowned in June, and my father was born in September. So they named him Nicholas after my uncle that drowned in the Erie Canal at the top of John Street. There was a bridge that went over the canal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
I just did a show. This is my third show here. My first one We talked about the Erie Canal and the evolution of it
Right.
and what's going on there now,
Yeah.
which was, I'm excited about the change that's taken place on the Erie Canal.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so great to hear about these kind of stories. I'm sure the audience is just loving hearing all about this. I live in the Stockade, and I did not know the history of your area.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned the Erie Canal, and I think Marty knows this too. That it was the Irish that came to build it, and that they lived in our area before the Polish and the Italian.
Really?
Yes, and then when Alco and GE started booming, the Polish and the Italian moved into our area, and it was amazing. Remember, Marty, the traffic when the Alco let out, the people coming down the sidewalk, you couldn't go down your front steps. You had to wait because there were so many people going by the house. It was
Yeah.
just so very busy, so very busy.
Now, are you the one and only original family in the East Front, the Rositos?
No, we have the Carlinos. He's our eldest at the moment, Vince Carlino, and he's still in his house.
Oh,
And
and now where is he?
He's down on Front Street by the antique store. You know where the across from the antique store. That's their original
Was that
thing.
Madison Street? It comes down there?
Monroe.
No, Monroe Street.
Across from Monroe Street, yeah. And we have Liz Volpicelli. She's still in her family house where the antique shop is. In back of it, Monroe Street. That's their family house there. She still lives in it. Judy Denigris, do you know Judy Denigris? She lives on John Street. She's still in her family house. She grew up in that one. Am I missing anybody?
I'm in my family. Well, I moved out, but
Yeah,
I
but
still
yeah.
own my
Yeah,
family
yeah.
house, and my mother lived there until about 10 or 12 years ago, and she passed away.
Yeah.
And now you rent out that
I
property,
rented
right,
out,
Marty?
yes.
Yes.
I kept it for myself for a while as I commuted up here to be in the band and do other things,
Yeah.
and then I later on rented out to keep it going.
Wow. So born and raised
Yes,
here.
yeah.
We have another great picture here
Yes.
that I think.
This was my grandfather. This is Nicola. He came to America first with his son Akil. He and his son were two of the founders of St. Anthony's Church. They put up money to build St. Anthony's
Oh,
Church
my
in the
goodness.
Italian community. Yeah, so I'm very proud of that they did that. And I don't know if you've been in St. Anthony's Church. There's a stained glass window with St. George on it, and the people of Petrella, Italy, donated that. They were and that's the village that he's from. So
Petrella,
Italy.
Italy?
Yes. Yeah.
Now what part of Italy is?
It's
is
just
that?
above the heel of the boot.
Oh, okay.
in the-
So Sicily.
It's
Area?
Molise. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. It's just a little area.
But southern Italy, right?
Well, it's in the middle, kind of.
Oh, okay, in the middle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I always heard there were three kinds of Italians. There was the
Yeah.
Sicilians, the Napolitan, and then
Calabrese.
the Calabrese. Is
There you
that
go.
correct?
There I am.
You're the
Yeah,
Calabrese?
Calabrese. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and I thought that was northern, but maybe it's more central north?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. There was a store I used to go, Calabrese's, and I asked her, or him, they were both alive at one time, how come Calabrese? And she said, it's interesting because, I'm bringing this up because she says, we're from Calabrese, that's our name, comes from that part of Italy. And I says, where's that? And she told me it was in the southern part. So I don't know
knew it
what
was
that meant.
northern, more northern.
Yeah.
It may very well be, but I do remember them
Yeah.
saying that.
Oh, at least we know it's in Italy.
It's in
And the food is so different too
Yeah.
from the areas, isn't it?
Yeah.
The southern versus the north, and this is such
Even
a.
the dialect is different. The Italian's different in each area.
Now, do you speak Italian?
No.
No.
I can understand it a little bit, but I don't. I wish I did. I
Yeah.
really wish especially doing genealogy.
Sure.
It sure would be nice to know that. It would help
Yeah.
with the history. Yeah.
And we have such great Italian restaurants around
Mhm.
here. I mean, I have a friend who lives in Saratoga Springs, and she says Schenectady has the greatest restaurants.
And it's funny that you bring that up. I don't mean to interrupt you, but Rigatello's started out in our area.
Really?
Pareca's Bakery started out in our area
Now,
on John Street.
And they were in a different location than they are now? They're on
Yes.
Foster Avenue,
Yeah,
right?
you know where the Legiers we were talking about, their parking lot, that's where Rigatello's restaurant used to be.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I'm
And
learning so
Pareca-
much.
Pareca's Bakery was on John Street, and behind their house they had a garage, and that's where they baked the bread. Mastriani's was on Mohawk Avenue. They were there for many years. So there's a lot of good stuff coming out of
Oh,
that little
boy.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so happy to know
Yeah.
about that.
My
Yeah.
mother used to send me to Pareca's on John Street, and I'd peek through the cellar window. Ask, you got any bread or whatever I asked for? They said yes, and so I would pay them, and it would pass the money and the bread through the cellar window and go back home. I remember walking by Pareca's so many times with that good smelling.
And that's all they
bread.
had then probably was bread. Now they've expanded as we all know. You have another picture here
Yes,
too,
thi-
don't you?
This is a picture of my father, and the hat he's wearing is the hat my grandfather, Gaetano, made. He had a haberdashery in Italy, and he made hats, and that was one of the hats that he.
Great hat.
Yeah.
Great picture.
Yeah, I love this picture. It's my favorite.
Oh,
really.
boy.
Yeah.
Well, that is wonderful. Was there another picture that we wanted to
Oh,
show?
and there, yes.
Oh,
okay,
yes. I have it right next to me here. So I'll give that to you.
This picture here is of my family. It's a 1917, family reunion, and it's in the Denty Hall. It used to be on the corner of River Street and Front Street.
Now
And
just
my-
hold it up straight, even though we're going to get some other angles on it.
And my
Oh,
father is the third person from the right
well,
when
we'll
he was
try
a young
to.
boy. Yeah.
Who's on the corner where? River
In
Street?
the,
Street,
he's in the
Front
front row, your father,
Yes,
right?
front row,
Number
third
1,
person.
2, 3.
Right. hmm
I
How
remember
about
that
that?
building.
Yeah, that's
Do you
where
remember it?
Yeah, that's
It
where
was that building?
Yeah, it was that building.
Oh, yeah.
What a great picture.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I am just so delighted to learn all of this information. I love history, and I'm particularly interested in local. And I was born and raised in Schenectady, and I lived in Niskayuna, but now I am a resident of the Stockade for the last 10 years,
Yeah.
and I love it down here.
It's nice, yes.
And I walk by your area all the
see you.
time, like I said,
see
do you?
walking. Yep,
And we hadn't really met until today.
right,
So
right.
I think people know that I'm a walker. So do you guys want to add anything?
Look, can I just tell the story about my father and his love for the neighborhood?
Sure.
My father was a big man. He weighed 230 pounds, and he got cancer. And when he was home this one day, he was very weak, and he went from 230 pounds down to 79 pounds.
Oh,
And he was very active in the neighborhood, and he said to me one day, "Would you walk me outside?" I said, "Sure, Dad." He was very frail. I had to hold him. And I got him to the house next door. They had a bench, and he sat on the bench. He said, "Just leave me here for a few minutes." I said, "Okay." And they got in the house, and I realized what he was doing. He was saying goodbye to the neighborhood.
oh, what a beautiful story.
Yeah. And so I left him there for about 10 minutes, and I said, "You ready?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I want to go in now." I said, "Okay." And he died like a few days after.
That was how he was saying goodbye.
Yep.
Beautiful story.
So that's what gives me the drive to fight for the neighborhood. I want to save it because of him, because of how much he loved.
Well, we're blessed to have you here today.
Thank you.
And to share all that wonderful emotional attachments that you've got and have
It
nurtured
means
all
a
these
lot.
years.
It means a lot to our family, even though a lot of them are in the neighborhood. They still love it. They still talk about it. You know.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
coming
having us
and
too.
sharing with our community. I love it too.